The day after a very interesting and impressive trip to Lake Baikal, to the vacation village of Listvianka, links to the video in the description, we planned, according to a prefabricated schedule in Moscow, a tour with a guide through the historical center of Irkutsk.
Мы с вами находимся здесь.
I have to say right away that we were very lucky with the Irkutsk guide, Sergey. You can easily find a link to his Tripster page in the description. We met Sergey in Irkutsk's main square, Count Speransky Square, from where our fascinating tour of Irkutsk's historic center began. Count Speransky Square was created immediately after the construction of the Irkutsk Kremlin, just behind its southern wall in the second half of the 17th century. They called the square Kremlin Square in accordance with its location. The square was very comfortable. The square immediately became popular with locals and transients, both as a place for trade and as a place for mass gatherings and festivities. Over time, the area grew both in size and buildings, and towards the end of the 19th century received the current contours.
Если вы посмотрите вот направо,
Throughout its history, the square has changed 12 names. For the longest time, 140 years, it was called Kremlin. Its current name, Count Speransky Square. It bore until the Great October Revolution, and then from 2016 until our time.
это интересный такой проект местный, соединить наиболее такие выдающиеся исторические объекты в нашем городе одной линией, чтобы туристы могли передвигаться. Эта линия у нас почти, сколько уже, лет 12 как есть. И обязательно стоит такой стенд, который рассказывает, что там перед вами.
Проводим эксперимент. Здесь написано, что если позвоним по этому номеру, то будет работать аудиогид. Сейчас проверим.
Приветствует экскурсионный маршрут «Зеленая линия».
Работает!
Вот так примерно, как стоит расположен вечный огонь, вот на этом месте появился первый острог, то есть первая деревянная крепость.
And a temple was built within this fortress. The Church of the Savior of the Uncreated Image, or simply the Church of the Savior, is one of the oldest temples in Eastern Siberia. In fact, the same age as Irkutsk. Moreover, this is the only church in Syberia that has murals not only inside the building but also outside. 3 frescoes are placed on the eastern facade of the temple. Of special interest is the fact that the building of the Church of the Savior is the only preserved building of the architectural ensemble of the Irkutsk Kremlin. The first wooden version of the Church of the Savior of the Uncreated Image has not been preserved. The wooden church was built in 1672 and burned down in 1716. This is how its construction is described in the preserved manuscript. This church was 2-storied, cold and warm, above cold, in honor of the miraculous image, below warm, in honor of Saint Nicholas. In 1706, with the blessing of Metropolitan Philotheus of Tobolsk, construction of a stone church began in the southern wall of the Irkutsk Kremlin.
Она была частью крепостной стены. Вот так представьте. Стену разобрали и Спасскую церковь поставили. Это к вопросу, вот реально боялся Иркутск какого-то нашествия вражеского?
The construction of the main buildings of the temple was completed in 1710 and was done in the tradition of the old Russian Posadsky temple. A 3-story quadrangle of the main building, a 2-story refectory building in the west, and a semicircular apse in the east. The bell tower with a military tower clock with bell ringing was added in 1758. In its long history of more than 300 years, the Church of the Savior of the Uncreated Image has survived a major fire and an earthquake, and twice came close to destruction during the Soviet period. For 40 years, it housed workshops, warehouses, and communal apartments. Today, the Church of the Savior of the Uncreated Image has been completely restored, and regular worship services are once again taking place within its walls. The Roman Catholic Church of the Assumption of the Virgin Mary is known among locals as the Polish Church. The church was founded in Irkutsk in 1820, and the absolute majority of its parishioners, about 1,500 faithful, were Poles who had been exiled to Syberia after the suppression of the anti-imperial uprising in Poland. Poland was then part of the Russian Empire. The Poles exiled to Syberia, about 19,000 people, belonged mostly to the nobility and the clergy, but also students, teachers, and scientists. And of course, for Syberia in general, and for Irkutsk in particular, this resettlement proved in some ways to be a strong cultural and educational impulse, which naturally had a positive effect on the development of Irkutsk society. In our time, a new church, the Cathedral of the Immaculate Heart of the Mother of God, was built for the parishioners of the Church of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary in Irkutsk. The church building now belongs to the Irkutsk State Philharmonic, where regular organ concerts are held.